tell me, have you ever laid eyes on an image of a naked, fat body? And no, yourself in the shower this morning is not the answer that I'm looking for. It's likely that the answer is no, because we just don't put those types of images on display. And when we do, we tend to look at them quickly and then look away as if we've encountered some sort of tragic thread of the human narrative. I say we here because I'm equally guilty, or at least I was until the end of 2017 when I discovered the Adipositivity project. Adipose is in the tissue, positivity is in a general sentiment of good regard. It wasn't really the catchy title that caught my attention. Instead, it was the images that had been curated by this photographer. These were images of people in fat, naked bodies, enormously fat, naked bodies, with all of their parts and pieces on display, but it wasn't really the show flesh that drew me in. Instead, it was the really obvious feeling of freedom that these photos communicated. It was as if these people had spent a lifetime hiding behind these layers, and then just for one moment they got to lose the layers, and it looked a bit like they were flying. Now, this was particularly relevant to me at the time because I had just launched my own body positive space, a place for women to tell their body stories, to talk about the ways that beauty expectations had shrunken their space in the world. It's a noble project, but a little bit difficult when the founder hasn't leaned into that truth for herself. You see, all I really knew was this starving existence, my shrinking reality, a lifetime in a body that just seemed to refuse to comply, no matter how hard I tried. And so I took a nod from the Adipositivity project. I discovered that the photographer's work was based on the basic principle of desensitization, the idea that you can decrease your negative reaction to a stimulus by repeated exposure to the stimulus. Now, this photographer was taking fat bodies and putting them on display because she, like I, believed that people in fat bodies are equally worthy of love and belonging. And so I decided to launch my own personal Adipositivity project. I started small. I did a shirtless yoga photo shoot with a sports bra and leggings, and I spent hours with those photos, seeing first what I'm conditioned to see, my fat stomach and my big arms. But then over time, what happened? Repeated exposure, all of that fat sort of dissolved into form and function. And so I started to think, if it works here, where else can it work? All of the places that I hide from the world, what if the solution is just repeated exposure to those places? It took many forms over the course of the year. Remind me to tell you the story about naked yoga in front of the full-length mirror, but that's the big idea, that repeated exposure to ourselves, by ourselves, particularly in the places that we hide, will set us free.